we mentioned earlier. Now let's say there was a 10% gain that first year. Okay, well that would give you $11,000. And let's say the second year there was another 10% gain. Pretty good. Then you'd have $12,100. Okay, but in the third year there was a drop, 20% decline. That could happen. It did happen, right? Well, instead of having $9,600, give or take, if you had invested in the S&P 500 index strategy here, you would still have your $12,100. Because remember, your principal is all guaranteed, and any interest earned is also guaranteed, not to lose. Okay, so you can see why this is a very popular strategy. Now, one of the best ways to win the rate of return battle and the inflation battle is to potentially get double-digit returns. All right, and of course, guaranteed loss of principal. You want to make sure that you keep all of your money. All right. Now, in doing this, you cannot forget about the tax battle. It's powerful, and I'm going to show you in just a minute an example of what I mean. But there was a story. A 30-year-old man here recently wanted to save $1 million, and he wanted to do this by his 60th birthday. So he had 30 years, and he said, not knowing much about money, goes to the banker, and he talks to his banker and says, Mr. Banker, in 30 years I want to have $1 million. How much do I need to save every month to be able to do this? Banker looks at the rates at the time, and CD rates were about 5%. Now they're about 2 to 3, but then they were about 5%. Okay, and he runs the numbers, and he comes up and says, well, son, for you'll need to save every month, look at this, $1,639.29 every month for the next 30 years, and you'll have your $1 million. Well, the guy was discouraged, to say the least. He walked out of the bank, and he never saved a dime, and he's now a greeter at Walmart. We've seen him. Now, what if we could have taught this guy the rate of return battle and the tax battle? Let's do one at a time. Let's look at the rate of return. If we were able to get him 10% instead of just 5%, what could happen? Let's see. Well, that drops that monthly savings number down to just under $900. Now, John, how many people do you know that could save $900? Not that many people. However, that is $700 less than what the banker told them. I mean, that's significant, right? Yeah. Now look at this. If we could also employ the tax battle, okay, we could have taught him how to invest his money where his money could grow tax deferred like a 401k, but also upon withdrawal, take it out tax-free unlike a 401k. What could happen? Drops that number, look at this, clear down to just over $400 a month. Now, John, how many people do you know who could save $300 to $400 a month? A lot of people. You could do that, right? I mean, you're probably blowing through that a month now, right? Well, seriously, to a lot of people, this is achievable. Okay? And it's not about saving a ton of money. It's about us saving what you can every month at a decent interest rate and reducing taxes and avoiding loss of principal. Okay? Now, when we're done, John, you're going to know not only, well, you're going to know exactly how you can become financially independent, and you're going to know when you're going to be financially independent. And thinking about that, John, if you were financially independent today, okay, what would you do? What are your dreams? What are your goals? What would you be doing? And that's my point. You know, John, when you're completely financially independent, you have choices. You have options. You could do what you want, when you want, and how you want. Okay? That's powerful. Now, just the other day, I was sitting with a couple, and we were doing their second visit, which is their implementation phase. Okay, how they're going to do their strategy. And the wife, she gets up. She was so excited. She stood up and she says, "You know what? I could go door to door to all of my neighbors and knock on each of their doors and ask them one at a time, when are you going to be financially independent?" And you know what? No one would know, but we do. See, John, she was excited. They were excited. They knew what their dreams were, and they knew exactly when they were going to happen. That's exciting. That's step 6. Okay? Step 7 is estate planning. Okay? Here we encourage folks to come up with a living will, living trust, in order to avoid taxes, leave a legacy and not leave a tax burden. Okay? Also help avoid probate. I don't know if you remember the story a while back of Terry Schiavo, the young lady who became incapacitated, had the whole world arguing, debating what should happen to her. Well, a lot of her problems could have been avoided had she had a living will. Okay, so what we could do is set you up with a company to develop a professional living will for you at no charge, and also to help you avoid situations like that from occurring. Okay, from you and your family. And that's step 7. Pretty neat. Now these are all the 7 steps. Pretty neat, aren't they? Yeah. So what I'd like you to do, as I discussed earlier, out of the steps that we just talked about, of these, which 2 have the most priority in your life? Which 2 are most important to you? Between increasing cash flow, eliminating debt, developing an emergency fund, protecting what you have against loss of life, which leads to loss of income, building long-term financial independence and tax planning, which is critical, or estate planning, which of these 2 is most important to you? Very good. Good choices. Good choices. Very good. Well, let me tell you. What I need to do with you first is fill out, we complete a financial needs analysis, okay? And what that is, I'm going to ask you a few questions to help determine what your goals are, and then also determine what your needs are. Okay, and then I'll take that back to the office with me, and I'm going to enter that into we have sophisticated software. Okay, and we'll input your information, and that'll help us develop a plan of attack specific to your needs. Okay, and the whole purpose of all of this is one thing: to help you become financially independent the soonest. Pretty neat, huh? It's awesome. Now, let me tell you what the cost of this is going to be. When I come back, I expect hot chocolate chip cookies that you personally prepared and a nice ice cold glass of milk. Just kidding. I had to put that out there. You were too serious. No, seriously, let me tell you how we're paid so you know. As you could tell, we educate and bring options to the table for you. Okay. The companies you decide to do business with, they pay us a finder's fee or a commission, okay? And so you're not billed for any services rendered. So it's a win-win situation, okay? Now, the information I bring back, however, is only going to be as accurate as the information that we put in. So work with me here, because this is your future, okay? This is your financial future we're talking about in your retirement. So, now, if we do this right, John, we can potentially shave years off your retirement date. Okay? So, we want to be, again, as accurate as possible. John, let me ask, when I say retirement or financial independence, what comes to mind? If today were that day, you said you would be traveling around the world. Anything else you would be doing? Any other dreams or goals that you had in mind? What age would you like to be financially secure? Okay. And how old are you now, John? Okay. And if you could retire today, in today's dollars, how much monthly income would you need? And do you know the size of your nest egg required to generate this monthly income? Okay, now, John, when you put money away, what interest rate or rate of return do you like to see on your money? 1 to 5%, 5 to 7%, 8 to 12, or 13 or higher? Good. And how much risk are you willing to take to get that kind of return? Low risk, Your money's guaranteed, medium risk, pretty safe, high risk, you could lose your money.